we're going to get started. You know, Odessa mentioned that the feedback, your feedback, is so essential to this process. And so we really appreciate your joining this evening. Um, let's see. So we're going to present on those 6 major transportation themes that Odessa mentioned in her earlier presentation. And the first of those themes is active transportation. Now, once again, we're going to dive right into this. And so any feedback or questions you might have, don't hesitate to post them right in the chat box function, and we will call on you and or read out your feedback. Thank you. All right, well, let's get started. Let's get started. So we're going to talk about active transportation. Can you all see my screen right now?
Joy,
With
we can
active,
see. Yep, Joy, we
thank
can
you.
see it.
Okay, great. So let's define active transportation for everyone so we can all focus on this topic and what we mean by this. Active transportation is the transport of people or goods through non-motorized means based around human physical activity like biking, walking, skateboarding, roller skating. So as Odessa mentioned before, we did some previous sessions with municipalities and other agencies, and we asked them the following questions. We're going to find out what they said, and then we want to know what you say. So here are the questions. We asked, what are the biggest impediments to building new trails? And what are the most significant gaps in the trail system? How can this MPOT, this master plan of transportation, help improve trail development and trail maintenance? So let's see what they said. So they told us that impediments for existing and future trail paths included political priorities and funding realities, challenges there, lack of ownership regarding maintenance, difficulties finding available rights of way and property info, lack of trail connectivity, trail system gaps identified. So where were there some gaps that needed looking at? Laurel, Hyattsville in the Chilham area into DC, Rhode Island Ave and Charles Armentrout Drive intersection, and state road crossings, Maryland 193, 202, and 201. So some of the suggested improvements were to reassess the current trails and encourage maintenance schedules, create uniform wayfinding, which is signage and lighting, and also educate the public about active transportation. All right, so everybody, let's get ready to Slido now. Let's get ready to hear from you. Hopefully in a moment, your Slido with MPOT 2035C will populate and you will see the following question. In your view, what's missing from the active transportation feedback you just heard? In your view. So you can place your info, type it directly into Slido, and it will pop onto our screen and it'll be captured for planners. Excellent, we've started. Bike lanes for consideration, very good. Speed control using smart street infrastructure, very good. That, okay. Smart streets, like that. What else might be missing? Feel free to write in the chat if you're having trouble with Slido in any way. We're monitoring that. And anyone who needs to, Raise your hand and we'll take you off of mute. You can unmute and we'll hear from you to register your feedback. Anything else might be missing?
Joy, what are any thoughts about bike parking or bike accessibility? I know we mentioned bike lanes, but is bike parking an issue? Bike storage, is that an issue? Just some thoughts to
Things
kind
like
of.
also, thank you, Crystal. I have a question here. Can folks be unmuted? Yes, raise your hand and we'll be happy to unmute you, or hopefully we have the ability to have you unmute yourself.
I can unmute too if somebody wants to unmute.
Yeah. I'm not seeing that, maybe they're having trouble raising their hand.
Oh, maybe I spoke too soon.
Okay. But that is something I think that Ben can help with too, Crystal.
Everyone should have the ability to to unmute themselves at this point if they'd like to
Okay.
speak.
Okay, thanks, Ben.
Thank you very much. So anyone who wants to unmute, as Ben just gave us that information, you should be able to take yourself off and speak to us. Okay, we are getting some additional feedback. What's included in the known challenge of road crossing Maryland 193, 202, and 201? Okay. So include existing information about challenges crossing those roads. Consider that. Okay. Very good. Crystal, anything else that you're in particular want to hear?
No, I'm just trying to help with, and get the conversation going. I thought maybe that was something that we could talk through. So it's fine if if our group is ready to move on to the next one, I'm definitely fine with that also.
Okay, very good. All right, thank you for your comments here. And I'm so sorry if anybody's having trouble getting off of mute, but keep trying to do that. We have a long way to go here tonight. All right, moving on. Let's talk about a different subject now. Let's talk about Vision Zero. Let's define that. Vision Zero is a countywide strategy to achieve zero fatalities and serious injuries on roadways by 2040. And Prince George's County recognizes that the loss of even one life or serious injury on our roads is unacceptable. The data-driven approach of Vision Zero reveals that vehicle crashes are predictable and thus preventable. Crash data shows that there's a clear need for safety improvements on our roadways. And the key to success in achieving Vision Zero is a combined approach using the 6 essential elements for a safe transportation system. All right, so we asked some questions. More about Vision Zero. So the traditional approach versus the Vision Zero approach. Traffic deaths are inevitable, says the traditional, but Vision Zero says they're very preventable. Traditional says perfect human behavior you have to have. Vision Zero integrates human failing into the approach. Traditional says prevent collisions. Vision Zero says prevent fatal and severe crashes. The traditional approach would be individual responsibility, but the Vision Zero approach is a more systems oriented approach. And the traditional approach says saving lives is expensive, but Vision Zero says saving lives is not expensive. So we asked the following questions. What are some of the impediments to implementing Vision Zero? How can the Master Plan of Transportation help achieve Vision Zero goals? And are there safety improvements in one part of the county that you'd like to see in another region? All right, now here's some of the feedback that we received from munis and agencies. They said impediments when it comes to Vision Zero include limited funding and political will, education and driver behaviors, wide roads, lack of collaboration. The MPOT can help Vision Zero goals by encouraging public participation and interagency coordination and incorporating safety infrastructure into the development proposals. And groups would like to see more pedestrian facilities, protected bike lanes. We heard that earlier this evening, bike lanes, tactical urbanism, and improved urban design standards and roadways. And thank you, Jim has placed a link in our chat for information specifically on the county's Vision Zero website for even more information. Now it's your turn. We want to hear from you about Vision Zero. What's missing? What didn't you hear that you think is very important for the MPOT to consider? Again, that should be populating in Slido right now. And you can place your answers in Slido. You can place them in the chat. If we figured out how to come off mute, we can come off mute and talk about it. Any which way, we want to hear from you. Vision Zero is so important. You know, it's not just a county focus or even a state focus, it's a nationwide focus, a different way of looking at things. So how can the county make Vision Zero a reality and within this plan? All right, timer controls in all traffic signals. Oh, okay. Only some have that now. Okay. Any other thoughts on things you didn't hear? Any thoughts on Vision Zero? If anybody needs to go back to hear anything, I'm happy to do that as well.
Joy, I can also place in the chat the feedback from the previous one so that people can read it in the chat while they're on the Slido.
That's great. Thank you for if you're doing that. I appreciate that, McKenna. All right, we do have some more feedback. Mandatory use of transponders on public transit. Overlap between active transportation, biking, and Vision Zero safety. Providing connectivity to safe recreational trails without exposure to traffic. Yeah. Thank you. McKenna has placed what the feedback that has been received in the fall and the kinds of things that agencies and municipalities are thinking about around Vision Zero for you to take a look at and keep in mind. So anything that you want to expand upon, let's think about your own area. What's missing there? Traffic calming devices. That would surely be of help in a lot of areas. Yes, we heard yesterday that things things speed up. You're coming from DC, you come into the county, things speed up. We need some traffic calming. Very good. Communications with public regarding public transit. Huh. Now, I'm very interested to hear more about that comment about it. Is that like having the public have additional input, a way to actually make have a voice related to the county's public transit? I'm I'm interested to kind of maybe go a shade deeper with a few of these answers so that it'll really help the MPOT team hone in on where you're going with these
All right,
comments.
how about all? Technically, it's all of the above. It's what you said. How it's also include, like for instance, tomorrow's supposed to be a snowstorm. So if it's too bad, can people go on, say, Washington Post or Channel 4 and say, okay, these buses are delayed, or because it's bad in a certain area, buses are not even running in those areas. Same thing if you have a school shooting or whatever and transit's closed, how do the general public know not to get into that area if there's no communication?
Right. So having the public have a place to go to share information that they are aware of.
You cannot find it for our transit system. And point of reference in that is when they had that strike a couple of years back.
Okay, and I'm wondering whether, McKenna, are you able to either place that, thank you so much for coming off of mute, Mr. Colbert, and kind of unpacking that for us. But I'd love to be able to paraphrase and capture that in the chat or on Slido so that we don't lose the essence of what you have said. So maybe some of my helpers can paraphrase that and get that in there, one of those places for us. Thank you. Anyone else regarding Vision Zero before we move on from this? Is there any more discussion to be had? Because that was an important point, and I'm glad you made it.
Joy, I just said the notification, like a notifications process to make others aware of challenges with transit or in specific areas. I think, like in specific areas, I think is
that's a good global high level look at what he said, and I think that's great. Thank you, Crystal. That's perfect. So we have that captured. All right. Thank you for all the great comments here in the Slido. I'm going to move on then. If there's nothing else from Vision Zero, to another topic. Let's talk about transit. Oh, I'm sure we have things to say about transit. Let's go. Let's define it first. Let's understand it. In this study, transit is motorized public transportation such as buses, bus rapid transit, and rail transit. Now, the Master Plan of Transportation will identify locations within the county that can be considered high congestion and then low transit corridors. So where there's a lot of traffic, but not enough transit. Identify best practices for addressing transportation concerns in the corridors. Identify roadways and transit infrastructure that may require additional infrastructure to achieve long-term mode share goals, and identify the next large-scale transit corridor in the county, and identify additional potential future bus transit corridors. All right, so we asked the following questions. We're going to jump right into this. We asked, where do you see transit in Prince George's County in the next 5, 10, 15 years? And what are your priorities, concerns, and opportunities for transit? Here's what we heard. We heard that people want to see in 5 to 15 years a wider transit network, more frequent service and late and weeknight and weekend service, connecting transit-oriented development areas, better pedestrian facilities to increase transit ridership, reorienting development to the street, transit priorities for the municipalities and agencies were equity of access, connecting workers to the jobs, dealing with the last mile problem, focusing on a connected road system, reliability, and ease of use. Now, does everybody, I'm not sure if everybody understands what the last mile problem is. Crystal, you're here in the room. Do you mind a quick definition of that? I'm happy to jump in, but
How I would describe a last mile problem is that if you were on a transit, either a bus or rail, and you were in one location and your final destination was like a mile away or mile or plus away, how can you effectively use transit to be able to get to your destination, your final destination? Is it through walking? Is it through having sidewalks to be able to safely take you there? Are there scooters there? Is there a bus facility there? Just some kind of infrastructure that's in place to be able to allow you to travel safely from the your transit location to your final destination. Is that what you were thinking, Joy?
that is perfect. And
Okay.
so the last mile problem then would be the lack of that infrastructure that Crystal is describing. So if you would be thinking about, this is one of the things that they're focused on, dealing with that issue. Do people feel safe getting to their destinations? Do they have all of the facilities and the infrastructure that they need to make it to where they need to go during that last little leg of their journey? Okay, so I'm sure that we want to talk about transit. This is what they heard. I'm going to open the Slido. I'm going to open this conversation up so we can hear from you. In your view, what's missing from that transit feedback? And McKenna, if you would like to place that transit feedback in the chat, feel free to do so that people can remember what they said. But here they come. We know already what some of these issues could be. Better schedule, better transit schedule. Okay. Metro rail access to BWI. Very, very good, right? That's, Inter-county transit. Inter-county transit, okay. I am assuming, like, is that going from Prince George's to Montgomery, let's say? Is that?
Or either it could also be from Bowie to National Harbor, like inside.
I
how
see
you-
within the
Yes,
same,
I think it could
within,
be either.
you're
I'm
saying
sorry.
within the same county, but,
Yeah.
Right.
okay, different
Right.
parts
Right
of.
now, our transit is geared to the DMV, not Prince George's County.
Okay, so you were thinking about the other parts, but Crystal, you're bringing up a good point because it's both. It's kind of both, but I hear, thank you. I captured what you're going for there, Mr. Colbert. Someone also put in interstate transit. right? Need more electric circulator bus routes, like the Route 1 corridor inside the Beltway with last mile access for inner Beltway communities. That's specific. Thank you very much for that. Now that's something they can really take a look at. Thank you. The ad for transit. Interesting. No.
Is it that we think that we have enough transit shelters? Do we think we need more? No, but I think these are some great answers. Oh, a loyalty program is great.
Loyalty program. I'd love to have someone come off of mute who said ad for transit and maybe give us a little more on that so that we can be certain we're capturing the essence of your comment.
Yeah, pretty much like anything. I mean, I see what I saw, and it's not that often, where you see ads for Ride Metro 2, let's say the auto show that's happened this week and stuff. Of course, we could say the same thing for the bus. Have these transit systems, if they want the ridership numbers to go up, communicate with the businesses so that they could take public transit to, like I said, AMC, College Park has a couple of museums. You have it towards universities, Bowie State, College Park. I mean, there's a whole lot of opportunities. We just don't use it.
So to provide destinations that are accessible. I think that's what you mean, provide destinations
Well,
that
not
are
only
accessible.
provide destinations, but like I said, like for instance, with the auto show and stuff. If I use my Smart Trip card to say take the bus, then use it to take the metro and stuff, and then when I get to the auto show, if I purchase something, show that I actually used the Smart Trip card to get there and stuff. Maybe there's some type of loyalty program where,
Gotcha.
Understood. Understood. So that if
county,
you were going to an event,
exactly.
I understood that. Okay, very good. Thank you for expanding on that. I want to note that we've had a really good, thoughtful comment from Joel. I'm sorry if I massacre this, Sheriga, who is concerned about being certain that we focus on green space and preserving that natural environment, and how smart growth should include that piece. He does mention some specifics there about Purple Line construction as well. So thank you very much for that. That's captured. Back to our Slido. We have expand Maryland Rail MARC destinations and scheduled services. Absolutely. Absolutely. And then where? I'm not sure if that's a question related to locations to get tickets and fare cards. Okay. Other than the stations themselves, I guess. Okay. All right. This is great conversation. Thank you, Jim, also for placing a link in our chat to the county's latest transit vision plan. So that's there also for you this evening. Okay, is there anything else? Does anybody else want to come off of mute for any comment around transit before we move on?
Yeah, what I did where that was incomplete and stuff, so you could disregard that and stuff. That was, because I was answering one of your questions when I was typing that in, and so.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Not
I
just
was saying,
about that.
right.
Now, as far as locations and stuff, like for instance, you see gift cards, you know, you at the post office, when you go out shopping, why not same thing with the fare cards and stuff, or add to.
Okay. Very good. So a lot of good information here. That's kind of something that we haven't heard in another previous night. The loyalty program and the locations to get those fare cards. Thank you for that. That's terrific. Anything else before I move on? Because we have a lot of ground to cover tonight. Okay. Thank you. Good info on transit. Great conversation. All right. We're moving on. We're unpacking the whole thing on transportation tonight. Roadways. We're going to discuss roadways. Let's define it. The MPOT will evaluate master plan right-of-ways for all roadway classifications and then identify where additional roadways should be proposed for future construction. It will assess existing and identify possible designation of scenic and historic roadways. And then it will identify roadways that may require additional infrastructure to support an adequate level of service for current or expected mode share. All right. So we asked the following questions. We asked, what roadway elements and factors has Prince George's County seen since 2009 that would impact the roadway facility recommendations in the new master plan, the MPOT. Now, and we also asked, what specific issues or considerations should be addressed in the update for the MPOT as part of the scenic and historic road designation process or application of special design standards for these designated roadways. So we've all been on those scenic and historic. So this is where we want to think about these roadways we travel. Here's what we heard from municipalities and agencies. Factors that have changed since the 2009 MPOT are budgetary constraints and more maintenance, right-of-way widths for utilities, trails and bike lanes, federal infrastructure money. Yep, that has changed, I'm sure. More accidents. An increased emphasis on non-vehicular travel and electric vehicles, that's for sure, as technology changes. Changing growth and commute patterns. Changing corridors, including rural roads, US 1, 301, and Maryland 4. Scenic and historic roadway considerations include driver and bicycle safety, accommodating utilities, and the need for a quantifiable scale to designate those scenic roadways. All right. So that's what we heard from them. But now we want to hear from you. What it was missing from that feedback that they gave? What are some things you would say about roadways? Now, thank you very much. I think McKenna has placed that roadways feedback for us to look over in the chat. Thank you. Please, here we go. Oh, so important. Clearing roadkill in a timely manner. Whoever has placed that in Slido, I am right with you. Very good. Something we all have familiarity with. Absolutely. What else regarding roadways? Considering the factors that have changed since 2009, and also considering scenic and historic roadways. What's important on the roads for them to definitely consider? And we're asking this, like, what is missing from that feedback? But I'm going to also throw out there, just to get the conversation moving, what's important to you also that you want to drive home in this conversation regarding roadways? I'm sure we all have feelings about that. You know, we all are driving at one time or another, or riding on roadways at one time or another. Any other factors? Here we go. Assure that paper roads, in the MPOT 2009 plan, that are no longer planned or feasible are removed in the update. And the planned road that would now destroy a public park would be an example. Because things change, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's a great comment.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is definitely one of the items that we're looking at, trying to determine what roadways were in the 2009 document, what makes sense, what doesn't make sense, and how we can improve upon road placement, being able to consider environmental concerns, going through streams and wetlands, and you know, so definitely that is something that we are taking a hard look at. Yeah, especially with the comment of planned road that would now destroy a public park. I think one of the other things that we mentioned, and I should have mentioned it earlier, is that a lot of the master plan trails were previously located in areas that prevented or made it very difficult to construct trails. So we're definitely taking a look at that also, just because of the challenges that we've experienced within, the last 14 years. That's 12 years, 13 years. Last 13 years, sorry. To be able to, so we definitely are learning from some of the challenges of the past to make sure we can incorporate them into the future of this plan.
Okay.
And that definitely is our goal, in trying to keep with that theme going. So yes.
Very good.
Great feedback.
All right, we have a small but mighty room tonight. So good comments, good comments. Anything else, you can come off mute. You can write in the chat. Anything else for Slido regarding roadways? Both, yep. Looking at the 2009 changes since, as well as the MPOT has to do some thinking about scenic and historic roadways. So if there's anything, to mention about that as well. That's a part of this discussion. All right. Well, hearing none. Oh, there's more. Here they come. I love this. I really love this. Okay, here we go. So this is not a scenic and historic comment. This is for new roadway construction in Prince George's County, saying it relies too heavily on developers who are incentivized, to minimize their size, capacity, and safety features. And okay, all right. That's some real talk. Okay. Other Maryland and Virginia counties fund roadway construction more centrally through their DOT and other than Prince George's County. Okay, all right. This results in more strategic and better designed roadways. Fair, thank you for that thoughtful comment. Also, many rural roads in the county are becoming suburban streets. Wow, that deserves just a little pause and thought. Makes access for bicycles much less safe. The need to widen and provide bike lanes wherever possible. I was wondering when on the roadways piece, when we would hear bike lanes, and there it is. All righty. Thank you. Great feedback. Great feedback. Thank you so much. These are tremendous. Is there anything else for the good of the order in this topic that we want to discuss before I move on? Okay. Moving on. Thank you for that. I think that's very useful. So we're just going to make sure everybody's doing okay. We have a little bit more to go. We have two more. They're sort of lengthy sections to go through. This is the deep breath, the stretch time. Is everybody finding this process to be a good process? Are you getting a chance to voice your thoughts and give good feedback here tonight? Yay! Thank you. I got a thumbs up on that one. Thank you. All right. Well, there's our check-in. Time for reflection. Now we're moving on to our next topic, sustainability. Sustainability. Let's see what sustainability is defined as. So, applying it to transportation. Sustainable transportation refers to any means of transportation that is green and has low impact on the environment. All right. All right. So sustainable transportation is also about balancing our current and future needs. All right. Now we heard green comment in our chat earlier, so I'm certain this is going to be a place to really get into that. So sustainability in transportation does the following: improves freight efficiency, increase public transportation, enhance electric vehicle infrastructure, utilize green construction. All of these are under sustainability and transportation. Maximize smart growth, integrate land use, promote green highways, and support bike-friendly communities. Yes, indeed. All right, so we asked public agencies and municipalities, sustainability can have many meanings, but which aspects of sustainability have the most significant impact to their agency? So when agencies and municipalities responded, they said that environmental sustainability, fiscal sustainability, and cultural and social sustainability really had the greatest significant impact in their estimation. The kinds of other sustainability aspects that were important to them, words like maintenance, things like maintenance sustainability, economic sustainability, state of good repair, infrastructure, life of project, operational resiliency, supply chain, resiliency, that word again, equity. These are the kinds of things that came up to create the idea, the other aspects of what creates a sustainable transportation to them. All right. Now, sustainability can have many, many meanings. We're opening our Slido right now. Which one of these aspects of sustainability has the most significant aspect on you? So we asked municipalities and agencies, but now we want to hear from you. For those who can participate in Slido, please do. For those who are unable to see that or participating otherwise, environmental sustainability, cultural and social sustainability, and maintenance sustainability have jumped into our top 3 right now. But if you want to place anything in the chat, ooh, we got more votes coming in. So, woo! Environmental, fiscal, cultural, social. Okay, environmental, cultural, so, whoa, there's like a race going on. Keep voting, keep voting. Right now, environmental sustainability is winning. And I just, while we have that up there, we were provided kind of a glossary this evening to help us understand how these terms can be thought of. So when environmental sustainability encourages practices that reduce environmental impacts from transportation systems, like greenhouse gas emissions, pollutants, and stormwater runoff. Many of you may have assumed that automatically, but I just wanted to read that definition. For social and cultural, though, that might be a little bit more nebulous. So I'm ensuring that transportation infrastructure provides equitable benefits for all users and does not create disparate impacts on communities in the county. That's cultural and social. All right. Right now, environmental takes the top prize here, that in this room, that aspect of sustainability is the most important. But we are hearing that cultural, social, maintenance, economic, and equity are also very, very important to this group and must be considered. All right. Very good. Thank you for participating.
Joy, could you just scroll down a little so we could see what the other ones are?
Oh,
There we go.
sure. Oh,
Okay.
thank you very, very much.
No
Woo. Okay, there were also 2 others. There's resiliency. There's a word we heard from municipalities and agencies, and also the supply chain. Didn't give you a chance to vote on those. Sorry, guys, but I'm going to leave that up for a minute in case you need to contemplate whether you'll change your vote as a result.
Yeah, I think they were able to see it as long as they scrolled on their screen. They were able to see it too. So
Okay. Okay, so they knew. I just didn't scroll. Sorry, guys. Okay, this was very good. Okay, environmental sustainability. And actually that falls in line with some of the other feedback that we've heard. Okay, thank you. Moving on. Our next section. This is a longer section, so stay with me, folks. Thank you so much. This has been great. You've been really great. Goals and success indicators. So we asked and talked about the elements of a successful transportation system with public agencies and municipalities. What are key elements of a successful transportation system? We asked them. And they said all of the following. Just like Odessa explained to us earlier, we used a word cloud system. The biggest words that you see here portrayed on the screen, that means that those were most often selected by agencies and municipalities. So they felt safety, accessibility and safety. Multimodal came up a lot there, efficiency and access. And then to a lesser extent, those smaller words they came up as important, though, to consider as, key elements of success. And I hope you all can read my screen there. There's so many words, but just a few of them: walkability, inexpensive, adequate right-of-way for utilities, low carbon, connectivity, congestion, protection, efficient, safe. That word safety keeps coming up, doesn't it? Okay, here, so we also asked, you remember that the Prince George's Plan 2035 identified several transportation-related themes. And we asked the agencies and municipalities to rank them in order of importance to their agencies. So again, they're similar. They're similar. Safety, number one. Multimodality and accessibility, up near the top. Affordability, number 4 on both, and energy efficiency, number 5 on both. All right. This is an opportunity for you. This is an opportunity you can get in the conversation here. Rank these themes that are transportation related themes in order of importance to you. Accessibility, affordability, energy efficiency, multimodality, safety, or other. And if you have an other, happy to have you place what your other might be in the chat, or come off mute and tell us your other. All right? So that Slido should be opening up for you. If anybody's having trouble, we can also help you with the ranking. Oh, here they come. Good, good. We've got 1 in, 2 in. Terrific. Accessibility on top at this point. Very important to folks. Safety, energy efficiency, multimodality, and we do have other. Affordability. Oh, yep. Yep. You know, I'm interested in hearing that other. Accessibility is winning. We have 3 participants in
On time
Slido.
for me, each other.
Okay.
On
Yours.
time, it has to be on time.
Thank you, Mr. Colbert. So on time was your other?
Yes.
Thank you. So we want to be sure and capture that maybe in the chat.
I'll go ahead and put that there now. Oh,
Look at,
McKenna got it.
look, doing our jobs. Thank you very much. Thank Crystal. Thank you. McKenna. Yeah, no. I know you were going to be Johnny on the spot. This is great, guys. We're getting great participation. All right. Very good. Is there anything else? Anyone who wants to come off mute and just say anything else about these transportation related themes? We can move on. There's a lot more in this section. All right, let's talk about transportation equity. So we asked agencies and municipalities what their top 3 transportation equity concerns were. Transportation equity, all right. Affordability, but accessibility was number 1. Accessibility, once again, that's a big one. Second here, there's affordability and mobility. So accessibility, number 1, and then affordability, mobility. Also, the need is an equity concern. Ability, and there was safety, traffic injuries, and sustainability did come up. All right, so these are the kinds of things that we heard. Now it's your turn. It's your turn. Get ready to register your top 3 transportation equity concerns. Feel free to do it in Slido. You can put it in the chat. And if we need to talk about transportation equity at all, I am happy to hear anything that you'd like to register. Here we go. Affordability, way up there. Accessibility, number 2. Ability. I'm scrolling. That's it. Okay. Affordability, accessibility, and ability. Okay. Very good. Has everybody participated that wants to this particular one? Okay, thank you, Mr. Colbert. Excellent. We have an other there. Very good. Okay. Being on time. That's right. Okay. This is, our poll is changing. People are voting. So accessibility and affordability are neck and neck. Neck and neck here. Those are both equally important to this group. Mobility, ability, and that other, on time. All right, very good. Okay, thank you all for participating in this one. Or if we're ready, we'll move on to the next. Success indicators. Now, we asked the public agencies and municipalities, we said the Prince George's Plan 2035 identified several transportation-related success indicators. Please rank the indicators in order of importance to your agency or municipality. So once again, they were similar in a lot of ways, but they started to get some differences as they moved on. Number one thing for both was increasing bicycle and pedestrian facilities that are constructed. Like that would be a success indicator to them. For agencies, increasing the non-auto mode share was really important too. And decreasing vehicle miles traveled, very important too. For municipalities, increasing housing and transportation affordability was also pretty important, secondary importance, and then maintaining, of course, the level of service. And there were some other things there. So let's get you into it. Let's get you into it. We're going to open up our Slido and let you see what, you know, the Prince George's Plan identified their transportation related success indicators. Now you, please rank these indicators in what's important to you. What indicates success to you? And can everyone see the Slido? I'm reading all this stuff. Okay, very good.
Yeah, is it 8 questions and 8 comments in there? Joy, is it just 7?
7.
Oh, 7 is the reducing the greenhouse gas emissions?
Yes.
Okay.
This is good. So that your answers should populate soon. You can put them in the chat. You can rank here on Slido. What great participation this evening. This is good. Here we go. Here we go. Here they come. Wow. All right. Right now, maintaining level of service ranks high. And jumping up is increasing the commuting patterns to and within the county. Then we have maintaining level of service. Also reducing greenhouse gas emissions neck and neck with maintaining level of service. Ooh. Also transportation affordability next. Decrease vehicle miles traveled and increasing by, isn't that interesting? So increasing bicycle and pedestrian facilities constructed was really important to the agencies and municipalities, and less so to the group we have here right now. And increasing non-auto mode share. So that's an interesting find in this room. Very good. Woo! Things are changing. People are voting. Maintaining level of service is still number one. Transportation affordability and increasing commuting patterns to and within the county. Okay. We hear you. Thank you for participating. Is there anybody who feels like they want to come off of mute and say anything about the selection or the choices? All right. We'll continue moving on. All right. Thank you for participating. Because we are now completed with the Slido portion, I'm just going to give you a little bit of background on, what's to come with the MPOT, because there's some more engagement there. There's engagement, as you can see. They had the Active Transportation Advisory Group last September. The county agency leaders meeting that we keep mentioning, the agencies and municipalities. Well, we talked to them in November of 21. These are the virtual community engagement meetings here in January of 22 that you're participating in right now. Next to come, we're going to prepare the draft existing conditions report. That will happen this spring. And then additional community advisory group meetings this spring. So that's all coming up. So also the schedule here, as you can see, this has been going on. They initiated with the planning board in July of 21. Then let's see. Go on April of 22, they'll do the staff existing conditions analysis. Moving through this year, the draft plan, that's expected this summer. Then there'll be a public release of that draft plan later this year. Next year, there'll be a joint public hearing. They'll go to the planning board. The council will approve and amend, and then there'll be the final approval with the second joint public hearing late next year, fall of next year. All right. So we want you to continue to stay engaged with us through this process. We're excited you're here tonight, but there are ways you can continue to participate and learn more. So through our online surveys, which I think McKenna has just placed that in the chat for us. Thank you, McKenna. So there's a link. That survey is open from January 25th through February 25th. We were very lucky tonight to have Crystal Hancock, who's the project manager, with us through this session. They've got virtual office hours. Both she and the deputy project manager are available to answer some questions, anything about the plan. And then you can look forward to more engagement meetings on the way this year. All right. So here's all the project contact information so that you can continue to stay engaged with us. So there's a website dedicated to the MPOT. There's Crystal Saunders Hancock's information, her contact email right there. You can also email the deputy project manager, Judith Howerton. Her email is also there. Thank you for pasting that in the chat as well. And then continue to stay engaged with the county through social media. All right, Facebook, Insta, and Twitter. Very good. Are there any questions at this point? Does anybody want to register any comments or questions about the process before we adjourn? This is a great time to think of coming off mute if you know how.
Or if
Or
you
you
need
can,
help. Mhm.
or you could put it in the chat. You could put it in the chat. Any comments or any last questions or thoughts about this evening?
I'd like to say, Joy, I just wanted to thank everyone for coming out and sharing your comments and thoughts with us this evening. I know it was a little long, but the information will help us as we move forward to drafting the new master plan of transportation. So thank you very much. And again, if there are any questions, please feel free to reach out to myself, Crystal Saunders Hancock. My email address is in the chat. And also on the project website, as well as our Deputy Project Manager, Judith Howerton. And just thank you again for coming. Thank you, Joy, for a great job. Thank you, everyone, for your feedback. And just thank you.
Awesome. All right. Thank you, Project Manager Crystal Hancock. Thanks to the helpers in the room this evening. Thank you very much. Jim, Sebastian, McKenna, Kirkham, thank you.
Yeah,
Mis-
I was going to say, try to keep the tax dollars within the state at the very least. If we can't keep it in county, then at least keep it in the state, which is why I said, the interstate transit and stuff. Because, we do have people who travel within the state to see their families, and of course, that'll keep the unemployment numbers down within the state, if not the counties. Because you're not going to apply to a job within a different county if you can't get to it. So,
Perfect. Thank you.
That's very good. If we can capture that, either Elsa, thank you also for joining, and or McKenna, if we can capture that in our chat so we have it for the record for the room. Thank you so much. Great participation. Even though this room, we might have had technical challenges getting you to the other room, we are happy you participated with us here and the main breakout.